Frehley album Anomaly. It was released in 2009 and produced by Ace Frehley. I'm going to butcher this guy's name, so sorry, but Frank Munoz. And Fox on the Run was produced by Marty Fredrickson. So this album, I still remember really well when this came out. I'd heard about it beforehand, probably just online. I remember seeing the like the cheesy commercial that they had on YouTube at the time for it. I thought it was funny when Ace came in on the motorcycle and did his act thing. So I remember like hearing about this and being excited for it. I bought it probably pretty soon after it came out. I don't think it was right when it came out, but it was sometime during that fall. Because I remember listening to it a lot that fall right after I got it. I was going to college at the time, so I was listening to it a lot on my way to class and stuff. I remember being like slightly disappointed with it when the first few times I heard it. Up till then, the only Ace solo stuff I had ever heard was his 78 Kiss album, so I hadn't heard any of his other stuff until I heard this. So I didn't really know what to expect. And I think that like on this album, he kind of, I don't know, he tried some things that don't really work that well, but he also has some tracks that I think are pretty good and that have grown on me. I mean, definitely by like the 5th or 6th listen, there were a lot of tracks that I like, but I've always found the album as a whole kind of hit and miss. And there are like some things about it that I like more than others. I think that the production is kind of uneven. Like some of the stuff I like the way it sounds on here. Some of the stuff I don't like the way it sounds as much. I'm not crazy about like the drum sound on here, even though I really like the drumming. A lot of it's Anton Fig. I think he plays really well on here. And I think the parts that aren't him are good too. But I'm just not crazy about the way the drums sound. I like the way a lot of the guitar sounds. Some of Ace's vocals sound better than others. I mean, like, I think his voice sounds pretty good for most of it, but I think it sounds like, just some of the production on, like, some of the slower songs, which are the ones that don't really work for me. I'm not crazy about the production on his voice on those songs. So yeah, kind of when I got this album, was initially a little bit disappointed, but I got into a lot of it pretty quickly. So the opening track, Foxy and Free, I remember not being really into when the first couple times I heard it. Yeah, it has all the like Hendrix references and stuff, and at first I found that kind of like cheesy, but now I'm just kind of like, that's just Ace paying tribute to a guy who's a big influence on him. So that's pretty cool. But the song overall, I like it. I think it's pretty catchy. I like the guitar in it, which is about all I ask for most Ace songs. When he tries to get like deeper than that, usually is when he gets into trouble, which happens later. So the second track, Outer Space, this was the first song off this album I heard. I remember thinking when I first heard it that sounded like heavier than Ace stuff usually sounds. I still kind of feel that way, which is cool. I mean, I guess it's not like as heavy as a lot of stuff, but for Ace, the guitars sound pretty heavy. It's one of the only tracks on here that he had a lot of like co-writers for, which I don't know, kind of surprises me because it doesn't sound like it's that like complicated of a song really. But I don't know. I've liked it, but it was never really my favorite song on the album, even though it's the single. When I first heard it, I don't think I liked it the first couple times, but it grew on me pretty quick. That's kind of like the story of a lot of this album. It took like 3 or 4 listens for a lot of these songs to grow on me, and some of them I guess didn't. But I like Anton's drums on it. I think it's pretty catchy, so good track there. The third song, Pain in the Neck, this is probably my favorite track on the album. Well, no, it is. It's the only one that really didn't take me, well, no, there's one more, I guess, that didn't take me any time to get into. But this one I've just always liked all the guitars on it. I think it's got a catchy riff. I think I like Ace's solo a lot. Ace gives this kind of like goofy, quirky vocal on it, but I like that. So I enjoy listening to it for that. I think it's catchy overall. Yeah, I don't know, just one I always got into. It has that weird kind of like, I don't know, acousticy like Tarzan singing part right before the guitar solo. That's kind of weird, and but I don't know, I like it. I think it's funny. So yeah, pretty cool song. Fourth track, Fox on the Run, the Sweet cover. This was the first version of this song I ever heard. I didn't even hear the other one until like years later. So I always liked this. Like when I heard this version, I liked it. I knew it was a cover from just looking at the credits, but for some reason I just never like looked for the original. That probably like offend some people here, but I kind of like this one a little bit better after having heard the original, just because I've heard this one so many times, and I've always enjoyed it, and I've always liked what Ace does with the guitar on it. So I like this one. I think it's one of the stronger tracks. Fifth track, Genghis Khan. This one's almost an instrumental, but it's got some vocals in it, but they're kind of like, they're just the same thing over and over again. So long, Genghis Khan, now you're gone so long. So not anything like substantial vocally. I've always liked this one though. I think the guitar is pretty cool. I like the little solo he does towards the end. I like Anton's playing on it. I don't know, I think it's one of his stronger instrumentals on here, at least the most like memorable. I'm just going to call it an instrumental because like I said, the vocals aren't really anything important. I think the best part vocally is when he just kind of like yells out Genghis like during the solo. I don't know, it's always made me laugh. So I like that one. Sixth track, Too Many Faces. This one is another one that I got into pretty quick, and I've always kind of liked it. Just got some cool guitar on it. I think the vocals catchy, so a pretty good track. The seventh track, Change the World, is kind of the first of these three songs that to me are the weakest songs on the album, and they're kind of all where like Ace tries to get a little bit like, I don't know, like philosophical or sentimental lyrically. It's different, like they're different songs for Ace. They kind of just don't work for me on like different levels, each of them for different reasons. I think mostly they just all kind of come across as a little corny, and aren't like really things that like, I don't know, it's the kind of thing that like if you're playing, people are gonna look at you like, what's this? So yeah, this one though, I don't think is the worst of the three. Yeah, I don't know. I think there are parts of it that are fine. I think overall, like, it's pretty catchy, but just it being Ace and Ace's lyrics and just overall, like, voice and stuff, it just doesn't kind of really work. But, I mean, good for him for trying something different. I mean, I can't really think of him doing this a lot after this, so I guess he kind of noticed that it didn't really work and started going back to what he is kind of better at. Eighth track, Space Bear, another instrumental. This one I like, but it's not, I don't know, there's a lot of instrumentals on here, or at least like three, because I can't get this con, like I said before. So this one, I think I like it. I don't know. I don't know if I like this one or the last one better. They both kind of neither jump out at me, kind of spoiler for the end, but yeah, I don't know. I enjoy it while it's on, but it's not like super memorable, but it's got some cool guitar stuff in it, and it's not really bad or anything, not like one of the worst tracks on the album. The ninth track, A Little Below the Angels. This to me is kind of the worst offender of his three like I don't know, philosophical songs. This one, I don't know, it's just really cheesy, and especially when they have like this part where he's talking, and I don't know if he's talking to his daughter or if it's just like an actress or whoever, but it's really cheesy, and then these like little kids' voices come in. I don't know, it's got some catchy stuff in the song. He does his like kind of acoustic-y thing for a while, does some parts that sound like they came from a Fractured Mirror song. There are parts of it that I think are okay, but as a whole it kind of just doesn't work because it just comes across as kind of cheesy. The 10th track, Sister, I like, but it's never been like a huge favorite for me. I like the guitar on it, I like the solo. It's always kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm missing something, but like his verse lyrics and then the I Can't Change My Ways like bit in the chorus, like they don't really sound like they have anything to do with each other. So that's always kind of like annoyed me a little bit, even though that's probably a stupid complaint. I might be missing something, but to me they just seem like almost unrelated bits of songs that were kind of like put together, lyrically at least. Like I think that it sounds like musically it fits, but lyrically the chorus part doesn't seem to have anything to do with what he's saying in the verse. And I know it's an Ace song, so I shouldn't really care about the lyrics, but it just kind of bugs me for some reason. The 11th track, It's a Great Life, is the kind of final track in the like Ace's Sentimental Journey trilogy, and I think it's kind of the least like, it's the least cringy of the three, but I also don't think it really like works because the verse part and the chorus part sound like completely different songs. Like when it starts out on the verse part, I'm like, what song's this? And then it goes to the chorus, I'm like, oh yeah, it's that one. I don't know, they have really different like sounds, the verse and the chorus. And I like the verse part better. Like it's got some cool guitar going on. I think the song has a cool solo. So I like it the most of the three songs that I don't like on here. But I'm still not like crazy about all of it. And then the final track, Fractured Quantum, another instrumental, and it's starts out acoustic, has some electric stuff in it. Pretty much what you'd expect from like one of his Fractured whatever songs from around this time period. So it's I like it. I think it's a decent way to close the album, but there's not really a lot to say about it. It's just like your typical Fractured song. So overall, I think I like Anomaly more than most people. Really, there's only like 3 tracks I'd take off of it, and then I think you'd have a pretty solid album. Maybe I'd drop one of the instrumentals, and I don't know, then it'd be really good. But for what it is, it's got some pretty strong stuff on it. Not crazy about the production of all of it, but I think there are parts of it that sound good. I don't know, maybe it's nostalgia that kind of makes me like this a little bit more. Because like I said, I do remember being initially a little bit disappointed with it, but I listened to it a lot, and there's a lot of, I mean, there were a couple, like 3 or 4 tracks that stood out to me initially anyway, but it's grown on me a lot, and there's really only, like I said, 3 tracks that I would take off. I wouldn't start here with Ace's solo stuff, though. I would start with his earlier stuff before you go into the later years of his career, if you're like looking to get into his stuff. So I would probably don't know if I would start with this over all of his later stuff, just because it's different. Like he tries some different stuff that doesn't really work out on here, and with some of his other stuff he gets back to more of his like formula that does work.